Hey my lovelies, I hope you're all safe and well. It's Mitch here. I'm just coming on to do this Wednesday's Facebook card reveals for you all. So just a reminder that this week I'm working with the Psychic Tarot for the Heart Oracle deck by John Holland, which is a beautiful deck, one of my all-time faves to be working with. So if you were drawn to card number 1, we're going into the energies of throat chakra. This is a time for clear communication. Now, throat chakra comes in a lot when we just need to speak our truth. We need to speak up for ourselves. Maybe there are words that are getting sort of held back or suppressed. Maybe you are struggling to find the right words to say. I mean, I always think the throat chakra is a tale of two halves. It could be that, you've got too much to say and maybe the throat chakra is working overtime. And if you fall into that concept, maybe it's just a need to sort of like pull back a little bit. If speech has been so free flowing, it could be a little bit costly almost. But normally with throat chakra, there's an indication of a little bit of a blockage, a bit of a vulnerability. Maybe we're not speaking our truth. Maybe we're not communicating our truth. And also I think it's really important that people get to know what's happening, what's going on. Throat chakra is so powerful because through words, we have this hidden language, we have this hidden dialogue, and communication can just be so powerful. It can make so much sense to other senses, other emotions, other things. I had a client the other day and she's been holding back on telling somebody very important to her about something going on with her health. And so this other person has no idea of her health journey, her health battle, and she's almost trying to sort of suggest this person's inadequate, they're not good enough. And I said, hang on, you haven't given this person the full story. You have literally not told them everything that's happening. How can they be persecuted when they have a lack of information? They don't have all the understanding. And she was very quick to sort of say that this person's inadequate and not good enough for her. And I was like, that's unfair because you're not communicating, you're holding stuff back. Your own guilt, your own vulnerabilities, your own persecution or judgment is preventing this from being held and honoured. And why should someone be penalised for that? So sometimes we have to have those difficult, uncomfortable, awkward conversations. What's interesting, it comes in from the colour of black, and these colours in these cards represent things as well. So black is very much a protection colour, hence why you see me in black quite a lot, because whilst I love to connect and obviously do stuff for people, I also have to have massive protection, not so much from spirit, but from humans. A lot of physical people that I connect with want perhaps more than I can offer and different things. And so, yeah, spiritual protection is massively important. And also it comes in from the cycle of 5. 5 is quite an ungrounded, it's quite an unbalanced number. So again, things could be very high vibe and almost over the top too much, or they could be getting very suppressed communication wise. So we need to find that balance, we need to find that common ground. And so definitely there's a need to sort of communicate what you need to say, however it needs to be said, whatever needs to be said, however weird, dark and wonderful, or however high vibe and fabulous it might be, considering what the situation is. But communicate your truth, speak up for what you believe in, and don't suppress, don't hold back. And it's just really important, I think, to find the value of this because it's very important, So I hope that makes a bit of sense if you've been drawn to card number 1. Now then, as we're moving into card number 2, you guys are onto a bit of a winning cycle, it feels like, because we've got the card of joy and stability coming in. That doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to be fabulous and perfect, but it is definitely suggesting if things have been a bit testing, a bit trying, a bit overwhelming, we're going through change of cycles. So these sort of big circles indicate wheels turning and gear shifts, changes. So if it's been a bit heavy, if it's been a bit hard going, if you've had a bit of a run of negativity or bad luck, perhaps things are going to start to improve, perhaps things are going to start to become better, and things are going to start to turn more into your favour. Joy and stability is a much more comfortable time, it's a high vibe time. It's also a time to really enjoy the experiences and the connections coming in, but it's a time to really feel that love, that gratitude from the world around you as well. So be grateful for what's showing up, particularly if it's been a bit of a battle or it's been hard to get there. We've got the number 4. 4 is a very grounded, very centered, very earth-based number. It's often seen as like the number for foundations. The foundations can be laid, the foundations can be set, and then things can grow, things can prosper on top of that. So it's a nice sort of almost platform, if you like, for things to grow, for things to flourish. Also, purple comes in from higher perspective. It's representative of third eye and sort of crown chakra energy, but more so third eye. So certainly higher consciousness, seeing things from a higher bird's eye view. So maybe some of you are changing mindset, maybe some of you are changing belief systems, maybe some of you are just being very mindful of your energy and your imprint on the world. And I think that plays a part in receiving joy and stability, because it's often said, well, it is said, what we attract, what we send out, we get back in return. So maybe having more awareness of our own energy that we're sending out can be changing the cycles that are coming back. And might feel like things are becoming more positive and straightforward, because perhaps what you're putting out to the world is changing a little bit. So there's that to think about as well. But definitely, if it's been heavy, if it's been hard going, a bit more of a harmonious time awaits for you guys. Like I say, it doesn't mean that everything sort of, is going to be perfect every second of the day. There's still going to be life cycles. There's still going to be stuff to show up for. There's still going to be stuff to work through. But it may not feel as heavy, as hard going as perhaps it has been for you guys if you've been drawn to this card. And finally, as we're going into card number 3, we're going into the energy of healing begins. This is a really important time to honor, anything that needs to be dealt with, whether it's healing of a grief or loss to spirit, so maybe there's someone that's passed away, and it could be a person or an animal, or whoever, and maybe somebody very important to you, and maybe you just haven't really allowed yourself to heal or to process. There could also be living grief. There could be healing of someone that's physically still alive and physically still in your world, but perhaps for whatever reason they're not able to sort of be present in your life, and having to sort of go through the cycles of that and that kind of processing. Perhaps there's something else going on. Maybe there's some sort of illness, maybe there's a battle with, ill health, or something that requires attention. It could also be something that's happened a long time ago, and maybe there's been trapped or suppressed healing that was never really dealt with, and so maybe actually now is the time to pull back the curtains to really address this. Lots of people I talk to in readings are beautiful, fabulous people trying their best in this world, and they have so much trauma, they have so much suppressed energy that they just never have allowed themselves to become free from, and so it stays there in the energy, it stays there in the body, getting sluggish, getting uncomfortable. And sometimes when that isn't addressed and dealt with, it can cause other complications, it can cause other problems. So if there is something that you need to address and deal with, whether it's something from the past, whether it's something more present, whatever it is, allow yourself to sort of take the steps for healing to begin, like it says, in whatever way is needed. 6 is actually quite a balanced number. It's about fairness, justice, and it wants to sort of bring about change and transformation. But we can sometimes only do that when we're being truthful, when we're being honest with ourselves. And if we've been avoiding something, blue again is the color of throat chakra, but it's also the color of healing. So perhaps communication is needed, whether it's like counseling, some kind of talk therapy, perhaps a support line. There could be some stuff that comes in there with this as well. But just don't suffer in silence, even if it's reaching out to friends, family, booking a session through a reader, whatever it is, a healing session, many things that can be done. But don't sort of stay stuck with obviously heavy energy, essentially. So I hope this week's messages make a little bit of sense. I'm going to leave those with you. Keep shining bright, stay well, stay safe, stay fabulous. Thank you so much to everybody that's been putting through your suggestions for next year's, I don't want to call it a tour because I'm not sure if it is going to be a tour, but live shows for next year. Some great places. Some I've already kind of, secured and got already dates for, and tickets are already on sale. So thank you very much for those. So yeah, but like I say, I will try my best to get to some of those venues or all of those venues if I can. It literally comes down to if I can find a venue at the right price, on the right terms, they're happy with everything, I'm happy with everything, and then we can get that middle point for a show to go ahead. So fingers crossed. Also, just want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's been supporting my workshops. I now just have one space left for my Witch's Rune workshop, which is happening on the 28th of June in Carpe Noctem Froome. And I have one space left for the Tarot workshop, which is happening the following month on the 18th of July. So both of those have been well received, and again, that's in Carpe Noctem. And also we have for the 4th of July, for the Reader's Day, one space left. I think it's at 3:30 for an in-person reading at Carpe Noctem. So Carpe Noctem is the place to be at the moment because everything's going on. But I'm going to leave these with you. The final reminder, the main one, Ilminster, the Warehouse Theatre, this coming Saturday. It's the only date this year that I will be in Ilminster. Come along, buy a ticket, support the show. It will be great to see you there. On the suggestions, quite a few people have said about coming to Chard or Taunton, Bridgewater, and what I will say is Ilminster is like about, certainly for Chard and you know, Taunton, it's about like a 20-25 minute drive. So if I can't get to those places, get in your car, get a ticket, come to Ilminster, because it might be the nearest sort of next show. And I appreciate some people can't travel, not everybody can get there, it's not as easy as always that. But you know, sometimes when I'm limited, it is a case of coming out a little bit yourself, you know. But it'd be worth it because it's a 2-hour show. We do 2 hours of pure mediumship, amazing messages from the world of spirit. Have some high vibe energy, have some fun, have some banter. My guide, Sweary Mary, that some of you are familiar with and some of you have yet to discover. And yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. So like I say, if you're stuck for something to do, this Saturday, Ilminster at the Warehouse Theatre. Doors open around 6:45. The show starts at 7:30. And like I say, it's a 2-hour show. So it starts at 7:30. It will end around 10 with a half an hour break in the middle. So going to leave that with you. Have a fantastic week ahead, guys, what's left of it. And I will connect with some of you lovelies either on Zoom or at the weekend in Ilminster. See you soon. Take care. Much love. Bye for now.